Sorry, but hell no. All right, let me give you an analogy. Breaking, b-boys. There's a culture of dancing that respect the previous generation, at least they have knowledge about them. Sport karate players today, modern day, they don't have any knowledge of previous. And it's our fault we haven't documented enough. And a lot of my so-called friends, I gotta say so-called because you're not really my friends, say, well, things have changed. What are you talking about? If you hit somebody and you get a point, wonderful. If you miss and you got a point, that's bullcrap. So this bullcrap has been going around since 1986. Oh my God. 1966, we saw the first blitz ever. Chuck Norris versus, rest in peace, Skipper Mullins. Long Beach Internationals semifinals. It's like 20 feet. It was incredible. The styles of sparring evolved. 1974. The New Gladiators documentary sponsored by, I should say, Elvis Presley, shows the great Benny the Jet Akitas fighting against Roy Corbin, who, it was almost like Corbin was from the future. He was standing from the side of his body, minimizing target, elongating his technique, kicking with the front leg and the front hand punching predominantly. At least that's the opener. And Akitas was kicking with the back leg and circular punches, so on and so forth. And Corbin beat him. Yeah. I believe it was a California State Nationals or something like that. He won $1,000, I believe. And I was blown away because no one even talked about Roy Corbin from Texas. And, of course, we love Benny. I'm not saying anything bad about him, but just historical fact. Styles changed throughout the years, no question about it. But is there a point where you can mess things up so much that it doesn't look like the same thing no more? For example, we know that a punch is a closed hand. An open hand slap has become the rule of thumb in point karate as far back as 1987. Some people cheated even before that, where they would extend their glove and then put their hand out. Today, with those closed gloves, oh my God, the way they cheat is freaking ridiculous. And it's not even called cheating no more. This is just the way they do it. And nobody addresses that because most of the so-called powers that be just don't have the energy to fight the gangs, the so-called teams. But when I'm watching videos of people teaching techniques that they score with, that they allow, but they're going to the right and they're crossing the left leg and they're just slapping the hand out with the glove extended and they give a point for that, and people mimic these things, that's how you have the mess of today. And regardless, there's still so many benefits with the way they fight today, because at least you have the speed. Some of them are coordinated and quite often better athletes, no question about that. However, where is the difference, or what's the difference? The difference is that most of these kids, even if they hit somebody, they can't bust a grape in the food fight. In other words, there's no power because they're hitting with just speed and a weak weapon. Take that same thing, close the fist, and trust me, you have some other quality results. And I'm a stickler for that, always have been. I believe in the past. I took the past. Yeah, improved it and went into the future. I've done that all the time. Even recently, hey, thanks, Twin. Twin, listen, you and your brother, of course, at age 15 were beating men. And it was because you guys were fighting like men. The kids fought a little different. Today, I see the adults fight like kids. In other words, they're just swinging their arms around, but not with the same quality and precision. Precision means sharp, precise, on point, hitting the target. Now, I believe, maybe I'm dumb, maybe I'm a freaking idiot, I believe that any form of sparring is still point in the sense that you want to hit the person without being hit. So footwork and defense and offense and distance and timing and tempo, all those elements are always going to be involved, whether it's boxing. If you look at Mayweather, he's in a sport karate posture, hiding behind. Those are things that we've been doing for years. Even one of the Fontanez karate alumni, Zab Judah, used to actually hit people with reverse punches too, right? Reverse punches in the middle of a fight, which is called a straight to the body or straight punch. Exotic was his instructor at the Fontanez School in Brooklyn. So anyway, my point is that I completely can respect what would be athletes and the commitment. But this is the mistake, I believe. Everybody fights the same. But you're doing the same drills. And martial arts is not about drills. I think that mistake has been taught throughout the years. I did a seminar a few years ago in Florida, and somebody had the audacity afterwards to say that wasn't a sparring seminar. And I couldn't respond to the guy because I'm like, what the F is this guy talking about? Everything I did and do has always been for increasing the quality of the fighting. So I taught them how to blitz and how to dive bomb, how to reposition. But since the business model today is everyone just running in and dive bombing and dive bombing and dive bombing, since they're doing those drills, they think that's what sport karate is about, or sparring. Now, it's not even, we call it sport karate, but in reality, it was called tournament karate, which regardless of what style it was, the Taekwondo kickers, you know, I come from Taekwondo, actually Muay Thai Kung Fu was the style that I trained in, Supreme Grandmaster Sang Soo Tiger Kim. But the point was that you had the kickers, you had the punchers, you had the people who could sweep you, you had the people who could flip on you, cartwheel. So there was no style specific tournaments in the 1970s or even 80s until they started separating it and then going to their versions. But Kempo stylist would kick you to the groin. A karate stylist most likely hit you with a reverse punch, maybe sweep you before that, whether it was Goju or Shotokan. A Kung Fu stylist might do some circular movement to you and then maybe sweep you another way or flip on you. And the goal was to hit the target. And at the time, regardless of what you did in the technique, it was all 1 point. Or it wasn't. And you had some incredible fighters, martial artists who also did forms, which I think is even harder than sparring, because in sparring you can be out of shape and still win because of your strategy or your know-how or your experience. But in forms, you can't make believe that you jumped up or did the chop and what have you. So props to the performance competitors. And I apologize, I did coin the phrase kata frag years ago because people walked around like killers and they never even fought. And I was upset. Then again, I was in my early 20s and I had a tendency to be a little expressive. Anyhow, my point is that without the history of sport karate, or I should say, without the history of breaking, b-boying, or you guys call breakdancing, the advanced moves would have never been developed, ever. But there's history, and there's respect to the previous generations. Sport karate, or point karate, or American sport karate, to be more specific, that came from tournament karate going back to 1947, I believe, with Robert Trias' first tournament, not that 49, in Arizona, literally changed the world, because the fakes and repositions that we learned from playing tag and freeze tag and other sports like football actually were implemented inside of this kicking and punching thing called today known as sport karate here, but that's really traditional sport karate. We're really kickboxers, according to the IOC, International Olympic Committee. They recognize it as kickboxing because that's what was petitioned to them when WACO was trying to become the governing body, and they're close to it now. But the person who started that actually was from New York City, from Queens, who relocated to other parts of the country, in the Midwest, and his name is Mike Anderson. Yes, he had a partner, but Anderson was the mind behind not only top 10 nationals and top 10 equipment, but he was also the guy who started Stars and Stripe. I think at the time they hired a company called Universal, who became Century. And I might be wrong, but that's what I remember the first uniforms that was used in 1974 at the PKA, which he also started. The Professional Karate Association was started by Mike Anderson before the people took over. Anyhow, my point is that without the past, you can't tell how we got to the present and then guiding for the future. Right now, they're giving away $15,000, which is wonderful, at some events. One division, no weight. And that is an upgrade. However, it doesn't change much of what a spectator can be confused with. In other words, they just clash against each other. And they don't have a quality control system. Even though I exposed some of the ways that was cheating, some of the ways the top fighters were cheating at the time, back in the actually, let me think about this. Wow. Okay, around 1993, for the National Black Belt League, I helped write a rule called the glove extension rule, because people used to pick up their leg and bring their glove down, actually put on the glove and then slap people to the shoulder and raise their hand. And that's the way they confuse people to give a point. And then the team used to be point, point, point. So they intimidated the judges to give them points for something that really wasn't a point. As crazy as that sounds, but it has become the rule of thumb. This is what everybody does. 1986 was the first what you consider sponsored karate team called Budweiser, and they had a tournament circuit called the National North American Karate Council, NAKC, and they had tournaments in Madison Square Garden where I fought, and also the Long Beach International, and in a few places. That changed sport karate for the worse. It was a professional league, so it was only adults, black belts, no children. And then you had all these other teams, Low and Brow, representing Miller Lite, and so on and so forth. But which was crazy, why we had all these alcohol companies with freaking teams. But anyway, they took that model of what was karate teams, which was a separate league, and put that into regular sport karate, which became like a gang. And then when you had the sponsors for the teams throw tournaments, and they intimidated the judges, or I should say influenced the judges by flying them in. So it's kind of hard to judge against the team that was sponsored by the same people who flew you in. I think that's a conflict of interest. And things started to change. Then they took, again, all these top competitors, nemesis, and made them so-called friends, which alienated anyone who wasn't able to be picked. But they had the top 5 heavyweights of one team. What kind of crap is that? So it took away the spectators' ability to even enjoy themselves. Now, I've been talking about this for many, many years. I started organizations and I did things, but then life got in the way. I'm giving this another shot again because it breaks my heart to think that some pioneers and legends are walking around right now and people have no idea who they are in the world of sport karate. It's worse than in hip-hop. And that has to change. So I've been sharing setups, techniques, fakes, flanks, etc. Because you can only throw, but you can only hit with 4 limbs. But the approach and the setup, there's a lot of options. Today, the number one focus is on speed. Speed. So that's called quantity. But in reality, it's supposed to be on quality. Technique. 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 Muscle memory also creates a danger because if you guys think that if you're going to your right and you move your left leg, the person's out your way and you just swap your hand back and it's open. When you get into a street fight, you're going to do the same exact thing because it's that thing called muscle memory. At the same time, if you guys fight, you just squared off and someone actually could throw a technique, like what happened to me the other day. I went to my left and got hit in my stomach or chest, and I fell straight back. First time I ever fell, but it was based on timing and positioning. You develop bad habits when someone says, grab me here, do that. In other words, fighting is not really prearranged. Fighting is very erratic, kind of crazy. But of course, on the sports, there should be some form of quality. Now, what happened in sport karate, American sport karate / kickboxing, as they call it, we call it light contact or semi-contact kickboxers when it comes to IOC. It's worse in Taekwondo. What they don't with the World Taekwondo Federation, what they've done, oh my God, what they did to even traditional karate, where they're hopping around doing the same exact technique. It's so sad because talented people with misguidance, just because they have the promise of the Olympics. Olympics has never helped any sport except for the Olympics. They kept all the freaking money. It just happened recently in the breaking, the b-boy world. And when sport karate was there as a spectator sport that one time in Japan, again, it was the worst thing that happened. But they do it with the promise of dangling this thing in front of you, when in reality, there's enough people who used to compete that know better, that are still around. I have a gentleman in particular right now in a position of leadership with a publication, and he called me a year ago, and he was sad to say that he wasn't comfortable exposing what would be the way people compete today to the general masses because he can't identify with it. And I agreed with him. But with a little guidance, I believe that we can be in the best place possible. But it's difficult when people who don't know any better are educating people with good intentions, but they're limited in the information. And that's where it's sad, because when I think about it, my gosh, 1986 is a long time ago, and I'm old enough and dusty to remember exactly what happened. And it all happened because Karate Illustrated stopped doing the ratings. Ronaldo Barden, who's one of the people here, I'm going to tag him. Ronaldo Barden was the reason why Karate Illustrated even had those ratings. Hopefully I can interview him. But the truth of the matter is that we're in a state of emergency as far as I understand it, and the emergency is your guys who know better, who are in your early 50s, from 50 and up. You can live longer if you start having some fun doing those techniques that you used to do and add to your repertoire. I'm telling you right now, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know how long am I going to live. I'm going to continue doing this until I can't anymore. And thank God for tournaments, because now I'm excited about being able to exercise my right to kick people in the head. It's going to take a little practice. But all I'm saying is that there is a history. It's a rich history. There's a lot of incredible legends and throughout the regions. And there was 12 regions, and I'm going to be sharing their history and information, even if they don't remember it, damn it. I'm going to freaking share it. Because hell no, it is not over. And to say that I was doing a seminar and it wasn't a fighting seminar, when all I gave them was a foundation of what 90% of the techniques that I've done throughout 40 plus years of competition in the adult men fighting. Cause I started fighting black belt men in 1983. No, sorry, 82. Even I forgot. And that's called a long time ago. My God, what is that? That 40 years? No, wait a minute. 50? Holy crap. That's 42 years? Damn. That's crazy when I think about it. Anyhow, my point is, again, guys, is I believe in you. Do not give up. Lay down kicks. Any form of footwork can help you stay around pain-free or less pain and a lot longer. I'm done, guys. AB, see ya.